You're probably the last person that saw these three girls alive. Do you agree with that? Yeah. Okay. Well, the coincidence that comes into play with storytelling is you were probably the last person that saw a human body. What?
On June 12, 2017, the bodies of Suzanne Taylor and her two daughters, Kylie and Taylor, were discovered by Taylor's boyfriend in their home in North Royalton, Ohio.
And they reminded all the cars were in their exact spots. So it was very weird that all their cars were there and no one was home. And I later learned that she missed the emergency softball practice because her mom helps run it, and Taylor's one of the best pitchers in Ohio. She coaches leagues. So I knocked on the front door and was yelling her name because I was concerned that her mom was holding her there and letting her go anywhere. And no one would answer, and the dog wasn't barking, which is very strange. You never take the dog anywhere. So I circled the house. All the blinds were shut. All the windows were closed. That's what I saw. And I was really concerned. So my father, because we do house reconstruction and stuff like that, oftentimes they don't give us keys. All the outside bars and padlocks are locked from the previous owner. So for that reason, I have a lockpick set that I used to get into those for demolition and rehab purposes. And they have a Latin saying in law that is necessary is legal, and for either a medical emergency or to help her outside of it, they lock the front door, which was very easy to do. It was locked, it was deadbolted, which is only done from the inside. And from what I've heard, Mom didn't give a key to anyone except for her girls, not even the landlord, because they want to list the house. I heard she would give them the key. So the lock was very cheap lock, easily opened. I think it opened 2 seconds. I just slid in the pick and it opened right up. And then I had used a screwdriver because I know that that deadbolt was very sticky and tight, so I just turned something with it. And when I walked in, I heard the dog barking from Suz's closed bedroom door, which was never latched shut. She would always swing it closed when Scott was there when she was changing, but it was never latched shut, not one time. So the animals could get it out. I found that very strange. The house was silent, the lights were on. The AC running. It was kind of damp and had a musty smell. And I opened up the bedroom door, and there was a comfort covering the entire bed. But judging by the build, Kylie wearing a teal blue shirt. Her arm and leg were hanging off the side of the bed. I knew that they were dead, at least one of them. The bed didn't look right. I assumed there were others there, but I couldn't bring myself to look. So all I touched was the door handle walking in, the screen door, the main door, and then her bedroom door. And then I turned right around and walked out. Didn't touch or look at anything else. I couldn't bear to do it. So the whole time I was on the phone with Scott, which is her previous ex-boyfriend.
At what point did you call him?
So
Scott was Suzanne's ex-boyfriend. The couple had parted ways months prior. However, Scott continued to try and mend their relationship. He stayed in contact with Suzanne and her daughter up until they suddenly stopped communicating with everyone.
Other things I should have noticed was when I knocked on the door, I didn't hear Eris. Eris is her dog. And normally you knock on the door, Eris will start barking. And Eris didn't bark. And I thought, well, maybe I just didn't knock hard enough, but I didn't think it was a big deal. And I had the thought of going over the window and looking in, but her bedroom window before I accidentally locked her out. And she climbed in through the bedroom window once, so I figured I could go in there. But the kids were with me, and I was like, this isn't worth getting in trouble for. And I should have.
So when you went up and you knocked on your approach, so nothing comes or anything else that you see or observe?
Just the fact that George's hand was there, the door was shut, and the door was locked. So her and George were fighting, talking about that.
Scott believes that before Taylor's boyfriend discovered the body, he had gone to the home to see why his calls were going unanswered. Before he left, he noticed that the van of a man named George Brinkman was parked in a very strange spot.
And then the van.
The van was not parked in the driveway, it was parked in front of the dining room window.
Okay,
Yes. So normally, when I'm there, and I've seen before, we'll park over by where Taylor's car is, and when we were both there, it'd be one after the other. So the spot in front of Taylor's car was open.
we see the grass.
Using the grass, yes. Back so,
Did he pull it nose first or is he back?
back. So you have the house and the
Is
bedroom.
that typical?
No. And his car is right here, there's like a bush right here, the porch is right here, Susan's car is right here, but see, he's backed in, here's your, they call it the dining room table is right here.
Okay.
He's backed in, so facing out
In the grass.
in the rest.
That's odd. Tell me about George.
Alright, so George is a friend of hers apparently from childhood. I met him, he was in his van, or at least it doesn't in his van. And she said that he always had a crush on her. So she said that he would constantly ask her, how do I get a girl like you? So there's that kind of context. So then I start coming around, and it's the December timeframe, and she's like, I'm not gonna let a friend freeze to death in his van on the street. So he was spending a lot of nights at her house. And then when I started coming along and spending nights, he was like, no, I went away. Apparently over the past few months, that relationship has gotten worse. And she's like, he doesn't talk to me, when he does, he acts. And it got to the point where normally we went to Disney last month, and she says, normally we ask George, and she's like, he won't do it. So where she wouldn't even help watch the dog. Well, then she even made a comment that, well, it's probably just as well, because if he did, he'd probably put my underwear on his head and dance around.
Jeez.
Because she's pretty convinced that he had a thing for her.
Okay.
So I never saw any, moves on her.
Okay. He never talked to you about it?
Not about Susan.
Okay.
At the beginning, apparently, he says, yeah, you should go out with her. But then what it seemed like was when the relationship took hold so fast, he was not happy at all. In January, I Facebook friended him. He has a George Brinkman account. I went to Facebook friend him, and he blocked me after that and stopped using that account, went to this other account called Crimson Guard. Okay. Because I tried to Facebook friend him, which I thought that was completely odd. He's not afraid to threaten to beat someone.
Did he ever threaten you?
Not threaten me, threaten don't think she'd take it. So I don't think, I haven't seen that. I think he's all there. I just don't think, his action, he's, seems like he's prone to violence. I
Hello.
haven't seen him physically do it, but I've.
Sorry about that. I'm just going to leave you here. How you doing?
I understand that he dropped out of high school senior year.
Go on then.
Now I go cleaning windows to earn an honest bob. For a nosy father, it's an interesting job. Now it's a job that just suits me. A window cleaner you would be if you can see what I can see. When I'm cleaning windows, honeymooning couples do. You can see them villains do. You'd be surprised, I think they do. When I'm cleaning windows, in my profession, I'll work hard, but I'll never stop. I'll climb this blinking ladder till I get back to the top. The blushing bride, she looks divine. The bridegroom, he is doing fine. I'd rather have his job than mine. When I'm cleaning windows, the chambermaid sweet lips I call. It's a wonder I don't fall. My mind's not on my work at all. When I'm cleaning windows, I know a fella's such a swell. He has a thirst that's plain to tell. I've seen him drinking fast as well. When I'm cleaning windows, oh, in my profession, I'll work hard, but I'll never stop. I'll climb this blinking ladder till I get right to the top. Pajamas lying side by side, ladies' nighties I have spied. I've often seen one float inside. When I'm cleaning windows.
What? Yeah, go on then. Fuck it. Here we go. DJ mode.
Don't go. I don't know where you come from, but you're everywhere I go. I don't know why you chose me, but as long as you're here, I don't need to know. So don't go.
When I got introduced to ya, I knew I'd be true to ya. Everyone wanted a piece. You whispered to me that the speaker is me in love, and I feel it in my soul. It's like you always with me on the road, phone in my hand while I listen to you moaning. Everybody in the car wants to try and get involved. Yeah, and then you make a serotonin. Puppy love now, I'm like, give a dog a bone. Shut me up how I could breathe and have a flow. I love's concrete, we should be set in stone. Yeah, and whenever I'm in doubt, yeah, you forever calm me down. Yeah, and sometimes I'm a dummy and I know I would have crashed if you never was around. Don't go, don't leave. Please stay with me. You are the only thing I need. Get by, get by. Yeah, I spend a little change on you, but you always give it back. Cause I know you ain't here for the the money. Just wanna see me be the man, so I earn my respect like a true gentleman. All losers were capital irrelevant. We should get free to emblems, and I'll give my life to you. That's a street settlement. I'm feeling ever so emotional, cause I never had nothing when approaching you. Sitting with a straight face on the phone with you. That's why a song like this has been overdue. Due over time, time over. Love drunk, you and I will die sober. I'm in this for forever and a day. That's why anywhere I go, they got a picture of the train. Don't leave, please stay with me. You are the only thing I need. Get by, get by. See, I swear, I ain't never seen the sky so clear. Together we're gonna make history. Why would you wanna be elsewhere? See, I swear, I ain't never seen the sky so clear. Together we're gonna make history. Why would you wanna be elsewhere? Don't leave me now. Don't go leave me. Stay right here until my dark days into light years. I'ma shine, yeah. Don't leave me now. Don't go leave me. Using you's one of my fears, but I ain't selfish, so shit. Don't leave. Please stay with me. You are the only thing I need. Get by, get by. So don't go, don't leave. Please stay with me. You are the only thing I need. Get by, get by. Get by.
Get up to £40 back if your first bet loses, plus a £10 casino bonus. Unibet, you're on.
Why do you not have any clothing? Why do you not have any clothing?
This is the never-before-seen case of Harold Easter, a shocking example of police negligence and the only time a suspect has ever died inside of the interrogation room. A man who went from stone cold sober to dying of an overdose, all while in police custody. On January 3rd, 2020, police pulled over Harold Easter after they allegedly witnessed some drugs. After Harold stopped his vehicle, the officers immediately rushed the vehicle with weapons drawn just to see him bring the evidence in a truly shocking way.
Put your hands up! Hands up! Do it now! Hands up! Hands your hands! Don't fight! Put your hands up right now! Keep them up! Get your hands up right now! Idiot! Easy out! Hands up!
Harold admits to having a little bit of marijuana on him, but obviously doesn't want him to know about the crack cocaine he was also carrying, as instead of giving it up, he puts a rock of it in his mouth and swallows it directly in front of the officer. Obviously, this is extremely unsafe. Ingesting any amount of this drug can be dangerous, but in the amounts that Harold just took, it's life-threatening. Officers should have immediately called for medical attention and taken him to a hospital, but instead, they focused on arresting him and bringing him into custody, leaving him to suffer for hours on end.
Anything else? Come through. I got it. You know, I catching your buddy.
The officer pats Harold down and finds nothing but a stack of cash on him. However, a search vehicle recovers much more.
He was scratching, he was crushing up the front part of his crack. He didn't get all of it though, but that's what he was doing.
I was fighting for his hands. We probably got an 8 ball down here. This is gonna be part of the crack he was crushing when I was dealing with him. And there's another baggie located in front of the driver's door. Seat.
The officers recover about 3.5 grams of crack cocaine and around 1 gram of marijuana from the car, along with the cash found in his pocket. These aren't big-time numbers, and Harold maintained that he wasn't even selling it in the first place. He was just smoking a little with his friend.
I ain't had nothing but to smoke a little rock weed, that's all. Smoke me a rock, that's all.
Open your mouth, stick your tongue out. Open your mouth, stick your tongue out. Lift your tongue up. Keep your mouth open.
Harold and the officers are both showing perfect conduct, treating each other with respect and staying calm. But remember that the cops know Harold has just swallowed a large amount of crack cocaine, and they seem to be completely ignoring how dangerous this really is. But instead of worrying about that, the cops just shove him in the patrol vehicle and leave him unattended for over 10 minutes before driving him back to the police station. During this drive, Harold starts to become more talkative and excitable, the first sign that the coke is kicking in. When he arrives at the station, this has only gotten more apparent. Compare how he talks here to his demeanor just a short while earlier during the arrest.
This is crazy. If I sit down, it's harder. Here. And what first minutes, because I can get you. Because he got something in his house. I ain't doing that, y'all. I'm saying, you gonna hurt yourself. I can say this right now. This is let me tell you this, guys. How much your earrings, tongue ring,
It doesn't take an expert to realize that Harold is already very high. He's talking way more than before, swaying and bouncing around whenever he gets the chance, and has a distinct lack of care for what's going on. The officer should know that something is up with him, but whether he totally missed the signs or just dismissed it as him being a random junkie from the street, he still failed to alert the medical staff of Harold's condition. Instead, he watched him take his hoodie and shirt off, indicating a high body temperature, and left the interrogation room. While the interrogation audio isn't the cleanest, Harold's demeanor and tone tell enough of a story. Right now, he's just feeling the early effects of the huge dose he took, but soon cocaine toxicity will start to kick in. The footage from this interrogation captures all 4 stages of this process, from where he is now to paranoia and distress, ending with seizures and a loss of consciousness, all without an ounce of medical attention.
Wow. You've just gone and killed him, bro. Look, they're in the back of the car, yeah, and he had about an ounce of coke. So he bit it in half and tried to swallow half of it. Wow.
Harold is starting to get louder and angrier, likely stemming from the first sign of a cocaine overdose known as delirium. Specifically, Harold seems to be experiencing excited delirium, a state that is consistent with hyperactivity, paranoia, rising body temperature, and incoherent screaming and shouting. The anger may also come from the fact that since he was arrested, he's told officers he's needed to drink water and use the bathroom, but hasn't been given access to either. In response to this, he yells and asks them if they're gonna let him die there. A horrifying statement that will soon prove to be more significant than...
That cop on each second him, bro, because it's procedure. If someone takes any kind of drug, you're going to handle it. What a fucking idiot, man. Man, what am I seeing him eating something? Right, yeah. A half hour I'll do it on the other channel and straight out, bro. Yeah. Everyone's still blocked, but I still have the channel, bro.
Why you not having clothes on?
Fuck you, master pal.
And he said, and when I see that, I'm going to please stand in there. I'm going to stand in there. I'm going to get some more, man. So I was sitting there trying to just sleep. You know, you have to be here. You know, when you're some water, and say,
Finally, an officer returns and asks if he needs water. 4 minutes later, he brings some in, but his actions afterwards are extremely telling. After giving him the water, the officer just asks why he's yelling so much before immediately backing out of the room while Harold is still talking. It's almost as though the officer feels scared or threatened by Harold, amplified by the fact that he refuses to turn his back to him at any point. The cop wants to keep him in his vision so he can feel safe. It's now apparent what the cops are actually doing. It seems as though they think the dosage that Harold took is safe, and are just waiting for it to wear off before they begin questioning and processing him. Given that the arresting officer saw the size of the rock that Harold swallowed, it should have been obvious that it wasn't a safe dosage. They only realized when it was already too late.
Fucking come on, how you lives are on. He's a technophobe. Wayne's real old fashioned, like, he barely uses his phone. Yeah, I was well off not to say any names to you. Yeah, big time. Don't give anyone a stick to beat you, as you say. I'm just heading out to a gig. A band from New York, a punk band that played in the Thomas House downstairs, and we mate, it was his birthday yesterday, so he asked me would I go with him because he know him to go with. And he's out of one drink alcohol, you know. But I'm not a drinker at all, like. So yeah, fucking. I think the guy's calling up to me tomorrow. And when he goes home, we'll go on. We arrange to go on tomorrow or Tuesday. I'll definitely do an hour or so, which is huge, you know.
Yeah, that's deadly, that, bro. I sent Wayne a message on a friend request. He accepted it. Now, listen, there's lots of topics we can talk about, whether it be football, music, community, politics, you know, why education is important from where we're from. Because, bro, I went to school with the Maldives, married to my cousin. I was in Kenneth's class. He put the Indian ink on me at 8. I still haven't got a tattoo, but like I said, man, even though you probably don't fucking, but like I said, bro, I'm not one of these that fucking goes back and says, oh, guess what my man said. And anyone ever tells me, bro, I keep it to myself because it's like a breach of contract, isn't it? When you call someone friend and then you fuck them over. Nah, hey, I'm fucking Old Testament me, brother. Enjoy your gig, done. Well, that's something for you to look forward to. You know what I mean? Yeah, oh, bless her. You make sure you have some food. I miss you already. I'm gonna do me live in half an hour. I hope you're alright and I'm thinking about you. And I'll give you a text in a while, yeah? Mwah.
Harold Easter was rushed to the hospital where he died 3 days later, leaving behind his wife and children. Following the incident, an investigation was opened against the 5 cops involved in the arrest, who subsequently resigned from the force. No legal action was taken against any of them. However, changes were made to the CMPD's policy following Harold's death. Officers are now required to constantly monitor any suspect in their custody instead of just every 15 minutes. And officers must immediately call a medic if they believe a suspect has swallowed an illegal substance. The Easter family also received a cash settlement in their wrongful death suit and have announced that they are at peace with moving on. The CMPD showed exactly how not to handle a situation like this. If they called a medic any earlier, Harold's life could have been saved. Here's what police should have done. Shown when Xavier Franklin suddenly fell ill in their custody. Just weeks ago from today, Franklin was brought into police custody after being arrested for outstanding warrants during a traffic stop.
Step up on me real quick. I just gotta put you in handcuffs. You're detained right now. Not too good.
Franklin is taken to the police station to be interviewed about his warrants. Before they can even start questioning, he starts to get extremely sick. In contrast to the CMPD, these Dallas officers immediately noticed that Franklin was in medical distress and brought him towels and a trash can to help clean things up. The officers also routinely check on him to make sure he's fine, but as it turns out, things couldn't be further from fine.
Everything okay? I'm gonna take your hat off. Okay. You okay? What's wrong?
I just thought I blood.
From what?
Huh?
From what?
I'm rough. I had a move down, but recovered alcoholic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, I think they got an ambulance coming, okay? Hang in there.
The officers tell him that an ambulance is on its way, and just minutes later, it arrives.
What kind of medical problem you got? Thanks. What would you like us to do today? So you heard it again? Southwest Coast. You're in the hospital?
As the medics take him to the hospital, you can see just how weak Franklin looks as he struggles to leave the room. Unfortunately, despite the police and medics' best efforts, Franklin died at around 9 p.m. that evening. As of this video's upload, an autopsy is currently being carried out to determine his true cause of death, and the incident is still under investigation. If you enjoy true crime videos like this, make sure you're subscribed to see more.
Tim and Kelly started dating in high school. Tim would bring Kelly out to the farm.
I really do believe that the two of them would eventually be married. That they would be a couple for life. Tim and Kelly were going to go to a wedding reception at the Concord House.
Tim and Kelly get to the Concord House at approximately 10:30 p.m. They're there for approximately half an hour, 45 minutes. Witnesses say that Tim had a beer and Kelly had a soda during the time they were there, and there are witnesses that see them leave.
The next morning, get up and get work done. Except when he got up in the morning, Tim wasn't there. Instantly, there was a level of concern. We called Kelly's mom and said, did they stay there? She said no. I drove up to the Concord House to look. Tim's car was still there. The door wasn't quite shut. And his wallet was still in the car. From there on, we finally realized Tim and Kelly are gone.
The first 4 days, they were talking to all the employees from the Concord House. We're talking to wedding guests.
One consistent thing that was reported was that there was this dark, dirty van that had been in the parking lot. One witness specifically recalled the van taking off in a sort of a suspicious fashion, in a quick way.
The Concord House itself was right next to the interstate. There's a big parking lot. There's not a lot of lighting or anything out there. If you were intent on abducting somebody, all you had to do was wait for the right moment.
A teenager on his tractor had seen something as he was driving that caught his eye. A pair of pants, just like Kelly had been wearing on the night that she disappeared. Both the left and the right leg were completely cut from the ankle all the way up to the waist. So in other words, the pants would have still been on her body, but they had been cut away.
It just magnified what I had thought all along, that someone had definitely raped her.
Over the course of 10 days, multiple pieces of clothing belonging to Kelly are found along the roadway within a 6-mile radius of the Concord house, as well as about a dozen pieces of rope with various knots tied in it. Squirrel hunters from Milwaukee are out in the Ixonia, Wisconsin area, which is approximately 7 miles from the Concord house. While they're walking through a wooded area, they stumble across a body. The body was badly decomposed. Approximately 100 yards away, they locate a male body that's fully clothed and appears to be the same clothing that Tim was reported to have been wearing on August 9th, 1980.
The manner of death for both of them was homicide. Kelly was most possibly strangled based on damage and insect activity around the throat area. So then these pieces of rope we're finding along the roadsides become extremely significant.
There's the regular square knot, but there's also half hitches, faux hitches, golden knots. This is somebody with knowledge of knot tying, somebody that's been in the Navy or the military or in the trades, like a carpenter, maybe a painter. It's not going to just be your everyday person that's going to tie these types of knots.
The case remains cold for more than 2 decades. The Heck family is forced to move on without their oldest son.
I was 8 years old at the time Tim and Kelly went missing. So when I first was elected district attorney, I was well aware of this case. And I wanted to know what happened to Tim and Kelly.
Knowing what a big case this was after being unsolved for so long, it immediately became my #1 goal to solve this case. At that time, DNA is becoming more and more popular. The DNA located on Kelly's pants and underwear was from seminal fluid. One evening, I received a phone call. There was a female who identifies herself as April. She said, "I think my dad could be responsible for Tim and Kelly. I think he killed them." And she said his name is Edward Wayne Edwards. She tells me about a book that he had written that she said would explain more about her father back in the early 70s. Edwards appears on numerous talk shows and game shows with this book about his life as a master criminal. In the late 60s, Edwards was on the FBI's most wanted list. He was a suspect in a double homicide in Portland, Oregon.
As I read the book, what was so interesting was he exhibited all of the classic signs of the stereotypical signs of a serial killer. He was a bedwetter. He had an affinity for starting fires. He was extremely controlling.
For some serial killers, they need to put on a normal face to interact with members of society that have access to victims in court. In fact, if they looked unusual or weird or bizarre, they might not get to approach victims in the way that they need to.
In addition to that, Edward's daughter, April, had told me her dad was in the military, that he had been dishonorably discharged from the military.
So Edwards knows how to tie these knots.
I had him on my suspect list. Edwards was interviewed in early September of 1980. He did not know anything about Tim or Kelly's disappearance. One thing that stuck out to me was that he had a broken nose. He said it was a deer hunting incident that caused the rifle to kick back and caused the broken nose. That seemed odd to me. Gun deer hunting in Wisconsin is November, not in August. Once I found out where Edwards had lived, I talked to the landlord that took care of the house. He said that Edwards lived in that house for a brief time and then moved to another state shortly after the disappearance of Tim and Kelly. Edwards had a van. He kept a .357 revolver in the van. This van adds up with the van that was spotted that night. Everything was making sense. I think I know what happened to Tim and Kelly. Edwards was waiting in the parking lot. Kelly fit the profile he was looking for. Tim, being a strong farm boy, got a good swing in on Edwards, causing the broken nose, and that's when he stabbed. There's no telling what happened in the van, but we know that Kelly was in strength to death. On oxygen, very overweight, and not in very good health. Throughout the entire time that we spoke with him, he acted very nonchalant, like it didn't matter that we were there at all.
For some serial killers, it is a game. Given his age, it might have been this was his last opportunity to manipulate law enforcement.
When I asked him to provide a sample of his DNA so that we could test it, he said that he had no problem doing that. He thinks he's smarter than us. After 29 years, he's thinking, what DNA are we going to have? How are we going to prove this? Turns out it's a match. During the final hour to the interview, we asked him if he had explained the seminal fluid DNA being on Kelly's clothes.
So then he comes up with the most unbelievable story. Tim and Kelly were joined at the hip. Kelly Drew's not going to go off and willingly have sex with Ed Edwards in a cornfield.
I went back to see if maybe there was something he said that I didn't pick up on, or maybe there were certain movements he made to tell me when he was lying. As I'm watching the video, something struck me. He said something sort of under his breath.
We probably rewound it 1,000 times trying to make sure that we heard what we heard.
And after listening to it repeatedly and having many others listen to it repeatedly, everyone agreed that what he said is, damn it.
All right, Bernie. Oh, Bernie, sorry.
To hear him say
My name is Stuart MacDonald.
it's a goosebump moment.
I think you are the author from his friend's book, Scott Leon Knight.
Edwards confesses to killing.
Now, I live in Manchester 28 years.
Edwards was an over-the-road truck
Had
driver
11
that
friends
traveled to
killed in
California
Dublin
in the late
Gangland.
60s. Because of
I have
this, some
some
people
story
believe
in front
Edward
Cherry
Lee
Orchard
Edwards is the
Avenue.
Zodiac Killer.
Some of the links
Electric
include the
car
fact that
man
Edwards was a drifter and he could have been in California at this time.
But I
The
have a
fact that
story.
Edwards killed couples
I
and
saw
that the
a
Zodiac
little
Killer
match
also
burning in my home, and the little
Symbols that
brother
are
just
used
got
to
killed
sign
in
off
front
on
of
the
the
Zodiac
mansion.
letters consist of 13 symbols. Edward
I
Edwards
grew
is
up as
13
tough
letters.
kid around
His
tough
birth name
families,
was Charles Murray.
you know, notorious families, sold drugs in the asylum. I witnessed a lot of stuff. I've had a lot of trauma. I'm just looking for advice, like some stories to tell you. I'm not being shot a couple of times.
Shows up on time, as always.
I was supposed to go over to Scotland's mental write a chapter for this book, and I know fuck all about books, but you know about books, right? You know, men don't scare me. You know, I'm a God-fearing man like God introduced himself to me at Farborough and took away my brother and sister. So I've made thousands of videos. I had one son, he grew up around here in Beswick across the way from the Etihad. Got a degree, a bachelor's in fucking psychology. He's up there 10 years and now he's helping kids in all around the country. You know, and I am a very busy man, but I could do it a bit of a voice because I don't know any authors and I've never did it before.
My friend worked at the same card and gift shop. She had come for her morning shift, and the store was found open. Lisa's car was in the parking lot, and her belongings were still on the counter. My friend knew something was not right, and that's when she called the police. None of it made any sense. I had just been there the night before. Everything seemed normal. Lynn came to my office. And I said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" She said, "Mom, Lisa's missing." She didn't just leave. She had a great rapport with kids. She was drawing, she was, teaching. She was happy with her boyfriend, Blair.
He loved him and was convinced that, someday that they would marry and have children.
She was just happy with her life.
The police officers who responded right at the beginning knew that something very bad had happened. Lisa's belongings were still inside the store under the counter. There were no signs of a robbery. The cash was still in the register. Today, we might check video cameras and surveillance in the area, but there was no such thing at the time. But there were some signs that a struggle had occurred, especially in the back office area.
There's this one on the top of the refrigerator door.
They checked the alley behind, they checked businesses nearby, dumpsters nearby, to see if there was any type of evidence that might have been found there. And they started talking to people from the nearby businesses, trying to track down anyone who might have witnessed something. But investigators didn't find anything at the scene to suggest where Lisa had gone or who might have taken her.
The store was crawling with policemen. The detectives asked, was she having trouble with anybody? We were unaware of anybody having any interest in harming Lisa. I kept thinking, why would anyone hurt her? She was such a good person. Why wouldn't they just let her go?
Alright then. And now we got a busy man, bro. But, bro, I need advice. I don't know what to fucking do. But it was starting to have to get out there. I just don't know how to do it, bro.
The Agawam police were able to immediately identify that body as belonging to Lisa Ziegert.
I never fucked anybody over in my life. It hasn't come.
About a mile away. All I have is yours, my boss. I don't think
I never fucked anybody over in my life. It hasn't come.
Half a dozen knife wounds.
I never fucked anybody over.
all I have is no feet and only ambition, and I look back and I will eat it. I have no feet and only ambition, and I look back and I will eat it. I have no feet and only ambition, and I look back and I will eat it.
One of the witnesses looking across the street before
If they stand behind you, protect them. If they stand beside you, respect them. And if they stand against you, show them mercy. If they stand behind you, protect them. If they stand united, lose. I don't lose. I don't win. I win. That's my job. That's what I lose. I don't lose. I win. I
For a while.
lose. I win. That's my job. That's what
Another thing that, she comes in sometimes to look at the collectibles.
I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later. It hurts me.
And I remember him sitting for a long time and listening. He would
I need your help. I can tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later. It hurts me.
and his description. I remember him being
tall. I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later. It hurts me.
Is in your management of male spotted outside.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later. It hurts me.
That would have been a standard procedure in the investigation.
Oh shit. Sure. I didn't even know you were in there, brother. Hello, John Wayne. I'm surprised you aren't blocked. One sec, hang on, I'm sending people shit on Instagram. I'm supposed to be going live at 4:30 on my YouTube. Oh yeah, big up Banter City. Nah, here I have nearly 700 videos on Fightingbackunited. I'm taking what's mine. Yeah. 670 videos.
So if somebody refused to provide, it wasn't really much of an investigation.
I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later. It hurts me. The state's youngest ever district attorney, Anthony DeLuca, kicks off. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later. It hurts me.
Like hair color and eye color, skin tone, that narrow the course of our investigation.
I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later. It hurts me.
Matches the killer's 24-year-old DNA
Look how it ended.
analysis.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later. It hurts me.
This individual was Caucasian,
Look how it ended.
European descent.
If you've ever disrespected me, I'm calm about it. Don't trust me.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
If you've ever
We now knew that someone, for instance, with blonde hair and blue eyes was not the perpetrator. Someone who was of African American descent.
I can take a joke. I can't take a joke. Disrespect, disgust, disguised as a joke. Disrespect, disguised as a joke.
Around 6:30, I got a phone call. Everybody just had gone into a state police barracks in Westfield and had claimed that her boyfriend authored some
Right guys, I'm going live on straight out value in 12 minutes. We need to do something different guys. Anyone who's ever helped me, I'm going to make sure every platform I'm on, I'm going to share out Sean Wayne shit and Banter City. We need more shit like that. You know, too many fucking agents that want to be tough guys. Let them do that thing. I've no interest in it, you know. I can't afford to get into trouble.
And that either he was going to kill himself or face the music.
I have the new Transformers. Look at Rise of the Beast, it's called. I have it on my phone. You know, my bro's seen it and he's give it a 9. There's loads of new movies out. Bird Box, Spade, Walking Against the Rain, Quicksand, and the new Transformers. I'll show it to you now. On the trailer, I wasn't impressed. You know, I was not impressed. So look, I have Rise of the fucking, what's it called? Rise of the Beast. Yeah, so I'm gonna do a live at 3:30. Hello guys. Listen, I know some of you are blocked. There's nothing I can do about it. I did tell you this guy was smart, didn't I? Very smart, but look, it doesn't matter anymore. Look at, do your worst, mate. I'm taking back 637 videos, and then I'm gonna put a shape charge on the side of the hull, and I'm gonna blow it. I'm gonna use Fightingbackunited to share Banter City and Sean Wayne's efforts to make people,
A number of items that were likely to have his DNA.
you know, you don't appreciate it. You know, like what the fucking fuck is going on YouTube? It's not my issue anymore. Never has been my issue. Yeah. I just watch. You know, I can read people. Yeah, tell Dennis and Benji to fucking link me, will you? Not spoke to them for ages, man. You know, I used to be in a group with a load of people, and you know what? They all fell out with each other. You know what I mean? I've not fell out with anybody. You know, I'm in about fucking 9 groups. You know, people that I do not respect. Yeah, nah, I love Fantasy, bro. You know, I'm gonna get the Riddler costume. You know, if you do not laugh at Shawn Wayne's Fantasy, then you've no sense of humour. You know, and if he makes a fucking daft video, like, you should be grateful. You know, because everybody sees them. So you should share Sean's channel. I wasn't 100% sure about Sean because a certain man planted a seed in my head. He planted several, and my guard was so down. But yeah, we have the glasses back, don't we, about it? Or somewhere, I know that. Now look at Chopper. All this time, you know, it's like I want to go in a different direction. I've been given a couple of options. Now there's a few educated lads in Ballyfermot, and one of them is a mod, Luke Skywalker, and he knows a bit about everything, you know. And like I said, I wanted to put a squad of dubs together and then unleash hell. Now, I ain't unleashing anything. I'm bringing people onto a platform, not for everybody else to have a go off, to tell their story, their struggles, and see how brave they are. Can they give me a number? You know, like here, everything is about presentation. Whether you're stood in front of a doctor or a drill sergeant, everything is regimented with me. You know, everything. You know, I kept the diary for 20 years. It's like, you know, when I got sectioned, I got into a bit of an incident with a fella. I hit him with a microwave. You know, he lifted a nurse off his feet, and he triggered me, and he had a hematoma like a bowl of cereal. He had a bowl on his head. I was like looking at him, and honestly, I was going for a hat trick. And shout out to Ghana. You know, Ghana, someone from Ghana stopped me from going to Broadmoor. You know, because I don't know when to quit. Like, you think you all know me, I get erratic and what have you, but listen, I have another side, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, around here, I'm not supposed to have feelings. The toughest lad on this housing estate put his hands on the wrong person. You know what I mean? Big legend, I went around the pub, me ballied up and all right. And I was like, yo, G, you're a fucking knobhead, mate. Now, I've told you in front of the whole pub, what are you going to do? He's like, what, you? I said, you fucking heard what I said. Get up, Don. You know what I mean? And I knew he knew it was me, so I took it off. You know what I mean? I was like, get up, you big legend, you. Yeah, you're a big legend. Oh my God, how fucking embarrassing is this, sweetheart? If you don't get up, and it's getting more agitated because there's no honour in hitting the man when he sat down. There's no honour in that where I come from, cheap shots and all that. Listen, I come into your pub with 15 of your mates next to you and only one of them stood up. Curtis, and that's why I respect Curtis. He's a good friend of mine. Now, I've not had any, like I said, this guy was a big legend around here. Fucking embarrassment, that's what he was, man. I shook, man, to the point where he had to get a haircut to avoid me. Not my words, his, when he was sitting over there like a little bitch, apologising to me. Imagine that, and he had long hair and he had to get a skinhead to avoid me, and I felt like a cunt. So I had to tone it down a bit, repent kind of. Right, we're gonna go live on YouTube. There's a lot of good guys on YouTube.
He sends items of evidence to a private lab in North Carolina. 1 year later, home gets a call. The unknown profile is uploaded into Canada's National DNA Databank and hits to a man named Clifford Slay, a convicted sex offender, and a name Terry Alm is familiar with.
Clifford Slay drew our attention in May of '93 when he had sexually assaulted a young teenage girl. And he was investigated at the time. His family had alibied him, and he was sort of put on the back burner.
Slade was one of thousands of suspects looked at during the 10-year Gustafson investigation. Now he takes center stage.
Right, guys, I'm gonna open this one, yeah.
His semen was found on the clothes of a 6-year-old.
We're not here to pass judgment on you.
Anyway,
We're only here to.
here we go. Yeah, short talk is about a couple of things, guys. So I'm gonna end this one. And if you aren't busy, come over to Straight Out Value. Peace.